A second. Okay. Hi, folks. Steven here. So, yeah, sorry about the last couple weeks. I have been a little bit, I don't know what the word is, been kind of a lull before the storm, hasn't it? Of course, we had quite a bit of Pokemon stuff in the last week or so. Of course, we've got Sword and Shield came out on Friday. And let's see, there was Pokemon Go Community Day yesterday. We'll be talking about that'll be sort of the main feature of this live stream. And let's see. Oh, there were Latin American Internationals. Unfortunately, I don't have the winners list on me, but you can certainly look it up. Pokemon.com certainly has a thing like that. So we're talking about several things today with all the stuff going on. So if you have any comments about any of that, please do type that into the chat. If you have any thoughts on Pokemon Community Day, that was Chimchar, and you get a special move if you evolve it all the way to Infernape. And also the music of Pokemon Sword and Shield. We'll be going over a couple tunes. This is going to be more of a first impressions type of deal. So we won't be going super in depth like we do with the discussions I do with Anne. And a couple other things. Went to a little event today that we'll be talking about. Some of you might have an idea what that is if you've been following me for at least a little bit here. But anyway, as is usually the case, I have a presentation built up for this. A few more slides than usual just because of all the stuff going on. Let's see, where's the mouse cursor? There we go. So give me a second here to go to the application window and bring up the slideshow. Right. Let's see here. Yep. All right. So most of you should already know I'm based in Madison, Wisconsin. And, you never know in the fall and the spring exactly what type of weather you're going to get. The other seasons are a little unpredictable too, and I do hope to keep doing this through the winter. But let's take a little review of what the weather was for yesterday's Pokemon Go Community Day. So we're going to take a look at what it was for last month's event and for this month's. Let's take a look here. All right, as usual, I get my weather data from the National Weather Service, always a great resource. So you may remember last month's Community Day was on October 12th, and I had mentioned there that there had been a dip in temperature, kind of a considerable one. We were definitely below average there. High was 49, low was 33 back in October, normal 61, 44. Average wind speed, pay attention to that, 11.1 miles per hour. You may remember during last month's live stream, I talked about how windy it was. It was considerably more windy last month. So what do we get this time around? This time around, on the 16th, yesterday, we had a high of 39 degrees, a low of 21. So we're still below normal there. Our high was about 5 degrees below normal. Our low was about, about 7 or 8 degrees. Much less windy, though. So even though it was considerably, about 10 degrees colder yesterday than it was the month before, I was actually a lot more comfortable just because there was considerably less wind out there this weekend. It could technically have been a lot worse. Earlier this week, we had a day where there was like a low of 4 degrees above 0 Fahrenheit, and all these temperatures are Fahrenheit, just so you know. High of 20 earlier this week. But as you may guess from these temperatures that I'm describing here, we got some snow over the last couple weeks. It's not unheard of for Wisconsin to have snow in November. It doesn't usually stick around super long, but as you can see in this picture, yeah, so here's the first Chimchar that I encountered. And, there's always something kind of neat. I guess it would be maybe a little bit better if there were weren't so many spots where the snow had already melted. But there's always something neat about having, fire Pokemon on top of snow like that. So you get, it goes all the way back to like Ponyta, Arcanine, stuff like that. And it's always a neat little picture there. Now, of course, once the Community Day hit at 11 a.m. local time and goes through 2, we had a ton of Chimchar spawn. This was the first one I got. So kind of like a little picture there. It looks really, really cute. I think it's definitely one of my favorite starters from, I think they Well, I guess definitely Piplup and Chimchar are two of the better design. Turtwig, I think, kind of got um, left behind maybe a little bit. I think there's a reason that one definitely fully evolved on Ash's team. Of course, so did Chimchar. And Dawn never evolved Piplup for whatever reason. All right, so maybe remember that last month I got like no shinies whatsoever of Trapinch. Well, this time I was a lot more lucky, and not too far in, I got a shiny Chimchar. This is one of several I got for this month's tournament. Let's see. Looks like I got a comment in there about the music of Pokemon 3. We may talk about some stuff later. If you do have any general questions about the channel, let me know. We'll definitely save some time at the end for that, but I do want to talk about this little Chimchar here. The shiny one, a little more red in there, not quite so orange, so maybe not the most impressive shiny, but appreciated nonetheless there. It is interesting the way it sort of angles its head there a little bit. Obviously, it does pose around a little bit here and there, but yeah, we definitely had some snow on the ground here in Madison. You never know quite what you're going to get in November around here. All right. So there was also kind of an egg bonus, as they sometimes do with these, where your eggs will hatch much more quickly than they would otherwise if you put them in an incubator. I guess I had some eggs actually that were stored up and getting ready to go as time went on. But I got some new stuff actually for my eggs. So you can see I got a Magby, speaking of fire Pokemon, and I got an Oshawott. When they started talking in Sword and Shield about Dynamax or whatever, part of me really wished, I don't think that the Gen 5 starters are in the game. The Gen 1 starters are definitely. But the Gen 5 stars, I can just picture like a giant smiling Oshawott over the horizon. That's a picture I just have in my head there. For whatever reason, it's just kind of funny. But those actually got me a couple more spots in my Pokedex, and that's always nice because you get bonus XP on that. But I also hatched a lot of other eggs just through that. I kind of wanted to call that out. So, all right. So one of the major overall things going on in Pokemon Go right now is you notice that periodically you're going to get these Cobalion raids. Now that we have the 5th generation Pokemon, this is one of the first legendaries that we're getting. Perhaps the first one, but Cobalion, I believe it's a combination of Cobalt and Lion is the name there. It's fighting steel. And, maybe because of that, I did see more folks playing Pokemon Go during this one than maybe I have in previous Pokemon Go community days. And it just so happens that as I was walking around, we did in fact hit a there was a Cobalion raid that started, and that's a level 5 raid. You're going to need a decent chunk of folks, and we came really close a couple times. First with 3 folks, and then we eventually got to one with 4 folks, but we were just not able to do it. Obviously, I didn't have my, if I had had like a fully powered up Infernape with the move, that would have given me a bit of an edge there, but unfortunately, we really needed, at least on that first one, we needed a 4th person. We just weren't doing enough damage quickly enough. One of the people who was involved in one of the raids actually dropped by the restaurant I was at. There's a restaurant near this Pokemon gym on the west side of Madison, and we talked a little bit about various Pokemon things. It was a lot of fun. So really great being able to run into a few folks there. But yeah, Cobalion escaped my grasp this time. However, I was able to get down to another raid a little later, level 2 raid, a little bit easier, for a Magmar. Now, Magby was a new Pokemon, but Magmar was not for my Pokedex. And let's see, what did we... so this one, I was the only person there, and I didn't manage to take down this one. I am fresh out of revives, though, so it's going to take me a while to get my team back up for more raids in the future, unless I want to spend some in-game currency to get some max revives. But not only did I find this Magmar, I actually caught it. So that was pretty neat. The thing is, interestingly, this is still that Frugal Muse, which has since moved a little further closer to further east, still on the west side of Madison, but their gym is still up there, which is kind of interesting. Let's see what we got next. Yes. Now, of course, the other thing that's going on is they're still doing their Team Rocket stuff, and judging from some of the stuff they're putting in there, I think they want to keep Team Go Rocket going on for a while. I'm not sure if they'll bring the other evil teams in there. It would be interesting to see Aqua, Magma, Plasma, Skull, and stuff like that. But I think that may be a ways off, or they may just fill in sort of replace Team Rocket. But in any case, it took me a little while because there were a couple of Pokestops that were Team Rocket stops that I missed by a few minutes or whatever. There was one that was a little too far away for me to get to. But eventually I did manage to find one. And this was a ground type one. They had a Sandshrew, something else, and then a Flygon. But as you can kind of tell from that picture I took there that I managed to beat them. So I got another one of those in there. And let's see. Before I tell you about the Pokemon that I caught there, yeah, you may have noticed this within the last couple weeks. Since earlier this month, they've started doing these new, what are they called? Well, there's these mysterious components. I saw one thing on Twitter where they had come up using their sort of generic file name or whatever. But yeah, there's a mysterious component you can get when you beat a Team Rocket grunt in Pokemon Go. And one of the professor's assistants or whatever has some things to say about it, which you can see there. And they want me to collect more. So I've got 1 out of 6 there that I've managed to get so far. So still working on all of that. Apparently I looked up a little bit. I didn't want to totally spoil it, but apparently there's something called like the Rocket Radar that this might be related to, and finding some of the higher level Team Rocket folks. I think that might be part of it. But yeah, now what did I actually get there? Yeah, so they had a Sandshrew on there. Was the one I get. Never get the top tier Pokemon. It's always one of their other Pokemon that you get there. Nothing totally new for me. It's but they've been adding some new stuff there. I definitely in some of the gyms have seen like a Shadow Porygon, I think Shadow Oddish / Gloom, and a couple others. I do like kind of the thing, you'll always know what type of Team Rocket grunt you're going to go against because their little phrase there will clue you in. My favorite is still normal does not mean weak, or whatever it is for the normal type grunts. They really should put that on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker or something. I really think that is a merchandising opportunity for Pokemon out there. But as you can see, kind of an okay Sandshrew. Hopefully I'll get a chance to purify that, because you do get, for the catch phase of this, you get bonuses based on how many how many Team Rocket grunts you've beaten, and also how many Pokemon you've purified. So I should definitely be looking into that. Okay, so let's see. So actually, I did pretty well on this one as far as getting. I've taken any Pokemon I have that are 3-star in appraisal, which really do like that feature. I've taken to putting in a star symbol or starring them so I don't get rid of them. And you can see between I got 3 shinies, and I got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 3-star appraisal Chimchar. I sort of compared, and so the one in the middle there, the middle picture there, is the best. It's the non-shiny one that I got that I decided. It's not maxed out in anything, but reasonably close there. And then the second one is the best shiny, which actually, it's got a maxed out, let's see, defense, attack is a little better. HP, not quite as good as my non-shiny one, but I was very glad to get 2 3-star Chimchars. Well, a shiny 3-star Chimchar, I should say. So, and those are both. I did have some Chimchar from previously, but these are both new ones from today. And I had caught enough to get enough candy to, fully evolve both of them. Although I do have a ways to work in terms of like strengthening them up so that I can get, they're not going to be super useful in raids and other stuff right now because they have a long way to go on that little arc you see at the top there. But I did, in fact, get Blast Burn as the move there. I'm going to need to spend some Stardust and Chimchar candy to do that. But yeah, here's the regular one, and then, yeah, the shiny one. So you can see there. So pretty proud of myself and what I accomplished here. Let's see, I think these are both, yeah, they're both male. I did get some female Chimchar, but as you know, the starters are always lopsided towards male for breeding purposes to make that harder. Let's see, but I think once if I can get these two powered up more, I think they're going to be really useful in various parts whenever I hit those fireworks. So if I get Cobalion raid again, I might have some more ammunition to go with it. This shiny one, as you can see, has a CP of 1063. Let's see here. So, yeah, this is not all I did yesterday. Actually, it was Pokemon related. Of course, this was the Sword and Shield weekend. And happened to drop by, let's see, a Target, and they had a big little display, like one of those boxes here, and they were doing their Pokemon Pass thing for the 3 starters. Walmart is also doing a promotion that's a little bit different than this, but here you can get a sticker and a screensaver, which I wasn't really aware screensavers were a thing for phones. Usually you just hit the little clicker to put them into locks mode. But they did have this one up, and you can, by the way, do all 3 of these rather easily, and just scan them with your QR code. So they had this. I think they had a couple pluses in there. I didn't see them put in any copies of like Detective Pikachu, the movie, on there. I know it's been about 3 months since the video release, but it could sell a couple extra copies that way. So took care of that, and that wasn't all that was going on at this Target. No endorsement, by the way. No one's paying me to say any of this. But yeah, apparently for this weekend, as we go into the holiday season, with Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and all that stuff, there was a Nintendo rep. He lives locally. I think I may have run into him before even. But doing some demo stuff there. They have in the middle there, you can see kind of the Switch Lite. Over there on the left, a little further there, there's a regular Switch. And then they've got some Odyssey material and some stickers and stuff. But we did chat a little bit, and I think, let's see here. Yeah, he was talking with some of the store folks there. So that was pretty neat. He clued me in. There's a Madison-specific Pokemon Go community that I'll need to try and get into and make sure I'm on Discord with. So quite a bit of stuff there. Let's see. I think I might have... All right, so this is the next main section. If you have any comments in there, please do let us know. So yeah, I had mentioned it several times already to this presentation that this is the Sword and Shield re-release weekend. So a lot of stuff going on. And we're going to talk a little bit about my first impressions of the music. And so just so you know how far I am, so thus far I've gotten through the first gym, the grass gym, with I think it starts with a K, the guy there, he does so that's how far I've gotten. I haven't had as much time on this as I would like with all the other stuff and putting together this presentation. One thing that's kind of interesting, it's not really music, is that they use mum instead of mom. And a little bit of, I guess you could say British speak. I'm not sure if they feel that's a little too stereotypical or what there. And yes, your primary rival's name is Hop, which I always associate with the Mario cartoons. They use different names for the Koopalings, and one of them is called Hop for whatever reason. Over to the right, there's your mom's character. But just getting into the music in general, as you might expect, it's a bit more elaborate than what we've seen. Well, certainly with the original DS game. 3DS games are a little bit closer. Style-wise, I think it's closest to maybe Generation 5, the Unova region, which was based on New York City. I'm not sure if that was what they were basically going for there, or if the music I've heard so far in the game is like that. But that's sort of the biggest comparison point. Beyond that, wanted to make a few observations I made, mostly about specific songs. Oh yeah, first off, if you wonder what starter I picked Score Bunny. I've actually evolved it to its middle stage, which is really I really like the look of that one. I don't remember Raboot, I think is the name of that one there. It kind of reminds me of a character from the of all things the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. There's this samurai rabbit in there, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. So that was pretty fun. And of course, if you're going into the first gym is grass based, so this if you want the easiest time there, you would pick this starter. But I won't judge you if you chose one of the other two. I don't know that I have a great reason for choosing this one, but I just kind of like the design the most, I suppose. If I got Shield. If I get Sword at some point, I'll pick a different starter there, I'm sure. Sword will probably go on my Christmas list. But yeah, they do some neat stuff. Let's see. So let's talk about, there's mostly what I've noticed are little quirks in some of the songs. And I don't mean quirk in a bad way, these little touches that they've put in there. For example, the regular versus trainer battle theme has a little bit of the main Pokemon game theme in it, which is a nice touch. It'll take more time for me to decide on these songs how much they're going to grow on me, if at all. I certainly hope so. I mean, as far as production quality, I'm pretty positive on that, and I do like a lot of the music in there. Here you can see I'm using a Thievel and a Dot something or other. It's the middle stage, I think, of that bug thing. I'm sure it evolves relatively soon here. And then we've got a Clink and Helioptile on the other side there. This is a little ways past the first gym. You have to battle with a camera crew, interviewer, and a camera person. Sort of going back, I suppose, to the TV reporter. So maybe we'll get that card back in the trading card game. You never know. Be interesting to see that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the battle theme definitely works, and I also like the rival battle theme, and some of the other ones that I've heard in there. Actually, I like the little variations they do for like when you're in the gym battling against the lower trainers, and the sort of the real athletic theme that they use for battling the gym leader. That's sort of where the crowd is sort of shouting at you. So really nice sound design for the most part with this. I do have a few comments that I'll bring up later, but let's see. Another one I wanted to bring up is Motostoke, I think is how this is pronounced. But basically, you can see this is very much a gear-based city. And excuse me, I can take a little bit of water for just a moment. All right. Appreciate your patience there. Not only do I like the design of this city a lot, it has some very well done architecture and stuff like that, and do explore the cities a little bit. I was just re-exploring the city a little bit this afternoon, and I found the black glasses, the dark type boosting item, and also a nugget, which obviously you can sell for money. But the actual theme song for this city here, it's got a bit of a clockwork feel. In fact, like right at the beginning or whatever, it's got that a few notes from that, that standard da 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 that you hear in a lot of like grandfather clocks and other ones like that have little chimes that play at various intervals. This is usually the hourly chime. I'd love to know where that one comes from. It must have been around a long time ago because I've heard it multiple places. But yeah, and also I just architecturally really enjoy this city. One thing I should point out I'm kind of glad about is that they did not go like full on, it's all based on England, so we should do everything like it's the Middle Ages. And I'm kind of glad they didn't resort to that they sort of portray it as more of a modern country. I mean, there are, like, the more rural areas have a more pastoral theme, and the other ones have a more, the city one has a more urban type of theme. Again, this gives me a little bit of a vibe, not only of 5th gen, I think maybe a little bit of Lily Cove because of the just because of the I don't know if it's percussion or brass or whatever that's used for like the clock-ish chimes. It does give me a little bit of a vibe there. This is, I guess, of all the city themes, this is the one that stood out to me the most. And one thing, there's a couple of these in the city, but I have to mention it. It's not explicitly music, but so yeah, there are, I think, 2 record stores. Unfortunately, you can't go in. and stuff like that. That would be kind of cool if you could. But they got a couple record store day. That's Black Friday is coming up. Sorry, they got a couple record stores in there. It would be fun if they did a promotion for like Black Friday record store day in game. I don't think they're going to do anything like that, especially since there's no Pokemon stuff this year. But that would be kind of neat. But basically, they have these record stores, which what's interesting is the guy in front of this one near the entrance to the city gives you, I guess, they have the technical machines, the TMs. I guess this is a technical record. I didn't quite exactly. It's abbreviated TR, and they say it's retro. They kind of both called out to hipsters in this one and also kind of made fun of them. Which is just kind of interesting there because they say, oh yeah, and it only works once, so it's super retro because TMs used to be use only once. You only got them once there, and so it's kind of a funny joke that the guy does there, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, now it would be one thing. You may know that one of my favorite non-Pokemon YouTube channels is called Tecmo. He did a thing about the different speeds. Be interesting to see if if they have some of the smaller 7-inch records. I don't see it. They all look pretty much like albums there. If they have the small hole that was typical in the UK for 7-inch records that are usually played at 45 RPM. But yeah, you had to know I was going to call this one out there. Anyone else have thoughts on any of that? Please let us know in the chat or a comment. Okay. Now, I do have a few little, I don't know if gripes is the right word, but things about the sound in the game. First of all, also in that same city, there's another person who gives you these like earbuds, and they go in your key items pocket, but you don't use them there. It took me a little while to figure out that they go on the options screen. And please don't judge me for using casual controls. I bet I was using one of the Joy-Cons while I had this docked to the TV. But that basically gives you these options down there to change the relative volume of the background music, the sound effects, and the Pokemon cries, which you can do sort of independently, which is kind of neat. But when I hooked this up to my TV in docked mode, one thing I definitely noticed is that there's not a lot of low end to the sounds in the game for the most part. First it took me a little while to realize my subwoofer was connected properly but turned off. But even like the main satellite speakers are capable of producing more bass than is actually in most of the sounds in this game. I think some of the battle sounds have like the super effective strike sound has a fair bit of bass in it that you'll definitely hear and will go through your subwoofer, but the sound was definitely engineered with the intention that it would be played through the Switch's small speakers in there. If you have headphones on, it doesn't sound too bad. But if you're expecting some great, stereo system experience where you put it through there and it really thumps and stuff like that, outside of say like the gym and like I said, a few of the sound effects. In fact, I should let you know, if you're going to put this through a sound system, you probably want to make sure your Switch is set to stereo, not surround sound, because otherwise you're just going to get the two front speakers getting used, the front left, front right, versus if you put it in stereo, then it'll properly decode. Not a ton of surround sound stuff either. Definitely, like I said, optimize on the assumption that they're going to be either through the speakers there or through the headphone jack on the Switch. So a little disappointed. I did try adjusting the background music level, but that really didn't do what I wanted. I really wanted some sort of like bass boost option, just to give it a fuller, richer sound. So like I said, sound fine on headphones and through the Switch speakers. Might be a little disappointing if you try and use it through your TV. It does obviously play docked, but yeah, just wanted to point that out. I'm still looking to get the album when it releases, usually about a month after the games. They put that out digitally and on CD. So let's see here. What's next? Yes, a little bit of bad news. Well, good memories, but not the best news there. So I told you, I think late last month during one of my live streams there, that the place where I run my league currently, Pegasus Games here in Madison, is closing its doors, mainly for financial reasons. They weren't, as far as I know, losing a ton of money, but it was sort of a, obviously not headed in a super positive direction, and they couldn't find a buyer. So today was the official last day of them being open, and from 1 to 5, they did a closing party. So as you can see on the left there, they had some goodies. A fair number of people came. This isn't the picture I have there doesn't even show the full extent. There were really a couple dozen people. Some people didn't stay. Most people didn't stay the whole time. I only was there through from like 1 to 4. And as you can see on the right, we do have there were actually several cakes there. Pretty good cake if you ask me. But yeah, it opened the original store, I believe, looks like in 1980. And they almost made 40 years. If they'd gone on a little bit longer, they would have. But today was their last day of business. They have to obviously clean stuff out, and I do hope someone else will use that retail space in that little mall place there, which is actually where Frugal Muse that I mentioned earlier has moved. So long and thanks for all the dice. Not sure exactly. I mean, I know they're talking about stuff like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, but I don't know if dice is supposed to be a pun on something. If it is, please let me know. But really nice. Got to meet some people I knew and some people I'd never met before. A lot of people came in and sort of shared memories and stuff. And in addition to cake and other sugary stuff, we also got in some pizza. There's actually a pizza place a couple doors down. I'm sure they're going to miss Pegasus a little bit because I'm sure they got some good business there. And then if you look on the right-hand side of this, let's see, at the top right, we have a bunch of current and former staff, although I guess kind of sadly, some of them have found work elsewhere. My league is probably going to be moving to another store, and I know some of the folks there were lucky enough to get some opportunities there. But as you can imagine, being around for almost 40 years, they had a number of folks there. This is probably only some of it. And I don't know exactly who, but if you look at the bottom right there, unfortunately, these aren't the best pictures. I had to take this with my phone. I didn't have access to a Zoom and stuff like that. But a couple of the local TV stations, or at least one of them, the person on the bottom right side who's on the left there is from Channel 27, which is the ABC affiliate here in Madison. Person on the right, I'm not sure. Might be from the same network, might not be. But this store's been around for almost 40 years and made a little bit of human interest story there, which is kind of nice and nice to see it get some attention on the way out. I'm glad they did this here. But yeah, very bittersweet. But like I said, we're working out sort of the logistics of. I have never dealt with a store closing, but I'm sure the Pokemon Company has. So looking forward to hopefully doing that soon. And moving over. So, one road ends, another begins. All right. So if I remember correctly how this works, yes, I wanted to tell you about a couple of upcoming things. So first off, if you're in the Madison area, through my meetup group, the South Central Wisconsin Video Bloggers, let's see, a week from tomorrow it should be, Monday the 25th, that's right, tomorrow's the 18th, so +7. We're going to be having a how to get started in YouTube thing that I'm going to be running. It's going to be at the Madison West Panera on Junction Road. It's going to start at 7 p.m., go till probably about 8. Depending on what we get there. But if you're in the Madison area and you've wanted to get into YouTube, this is your opportunity to learn from me and some other folks. And then you may be wondering, well, when's your next Pokemon music discussion with Ann from PvP Podcast? Well, I talked to her. She had a few things she was going through, and she hopes to, be getting her podcast back. And by the way, if you want to hear from her again, a couple weeks ago, about a week or so ago, I put out the Hoopa discussion on the podcast feed. But of course, now we're working our way through the Pokemon side games, and our next one is going to be Pokemon Stadium, and it's going to be, let's see, I guess must be 4 weeks from today. Well, let's see, today's 17th, 24th, 1st, and yes, 4 weeks from today it looks like. We're going to have the, no, I guess it's 3 weeks. Well, one of those two numbers is right. So glad I minored in math. But we're going to be doing our discussion of the music of Pokemon Stadium. I've been playing through a fair bit of this. I might do a live stream if I can get that working sometime in the next few weeks. But that's going to be Sunday, December 8th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that'd be, 9 Eastern, 7 Ann's time in the Mountain Time Zone, and 6 Pacific. Let's see, it should be, well, it's going to be pretty early in the morning, unfortunately, if you're in Europe. But if you have any comments on that, please put a comment on this or any of our other videos. We will try and work those in. And, of course, we will be streaming it live in, let's see, I guess, redoing my math again. I can't let that go. 3 weeks. And we'll be discussing that. So, yeah, Pokemon Stadium. Really looking forward to that. So that should be the last slide there. Okay, and should be seeing me full frame right about now. So let's see, there was one comment that came in here. Let's see. It's a little bit cryptic, but it's from Kiru Godzilla 1. I remember a scene in Pokemon 3, the movie, where Charizard saves Ash and Pikachu from Entei. I guess that was just a little call out there. But yeah, if you ever have comments or things you want us to discuss in an upcoming episode, like I said, our Stadium episode, we're going to be recording that in 3 weeks. It's going to be live streamed if you want to join in there. But always do feel free to put that in there. I figured this would be a little bit longer than some of our other streams, but yeah, so that's going on there. The other thing I kind of wanted to talk about here, while we have a few minutes here before we're wrapping up, is that we still don't know when Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution is coming to the West. I was kind of hoping that it would announce something, leading up to Sword and Shield, because like last year, leading up to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is when they put the Detective Pikachu trailer out. I have been doing a little bit of digging, and I haven't really found anything conclusive. One thing I'm looking at is that I'm fairly certain at this point that it's probably been promoted to some sort of wide release next year. It is possible it could come direct to television still. It could come to, I don't know, some people have suggested it might come to Disney Plus, which I guess, that would be one way of doing a surprise announcement there, although I think we'd probably have heard something about that by now if that were the case. But I think odds are it's getting sometime. It'll be smaller than, say, Detective Pikachu got. It's not quite that big of a movie, but given the current market for 90s kids movies remakes, I think that's probably the most likely possibility. I could be totally wrong. Like I said, I don't have any inside info. All my press rep from the agency that handles Pokemon stuff could tell me was stay tuned. So it seems like they have some plans. But what I've been looking at is next summer there are a couple slots from a couple different studios that are untitled and not assigned to a specific movie. There's like 2 in July and 1 in August. So that's certainly possible. But right now, if it is that late, we'll probably in a few months hear something. But yeah, if you have any ideas or thoughts on that, I haven't found too many leads, unfortunately. But I think that's going to just about do it for this one. So yeah, so keep that in mind. So next Monday, I have that thing with the, what is it? Oh, it's the, with the how to learn to go onto YouTube. And in 3 weeks, we're going to have, on the 8th, we're going to have that discussion with Anne from Review Podcast on the Music Pokemon Stadium. Any comments on that? We will be streaming that live if you want to join in. And yeah, I'm going to try and get at least one more podcast episode out. That should be the Pokemon Pinball discussion that we did a few months ago. But yeah, other than that, all right, folks, thanks.